The battlefield was silent now. Smoke rose from broken ships. Fires burned across the ground. The war had ended here, but not in peace, only in destruction. Commander Rain walked slowly through the wreckage. His armor was cracked, and blood dried on his face. He was the last one standing from his unit. All around him were fallen bodies, human and alien. He had seen too much death today. He held his pulse rifle tightly, scanning the ruins of an alien dropship. A strange sound caught his attention, a soft cry. He turned quickly, aiming his weapon. But what he saw was not a soldier. It was a child, an alien child, no older than 10. His skin was dark blue, and his eyes glowed faintly. His leg was broken, and he was trapped under a piece of metal. He looked up at Rain with fear, but didn't move. Rain stood frozen. His mind told him to walk away. This was the enemy's child. Helping him would be a crime. But his heart whispered something else. Slowly, Rain lowered his weapon. The child winced, expecting pain, but Rain knelt beside him. "You're hurt," Rain said softly. The boy didn't speak. Maybe he didn't understand the words, but he felt the tone gentle, not angry. Rain grabbed a piece of metal and pushed it off the child. The boy screamed in pain, but Rain acted fast, picking him up gently. Blaster fire echoed again in the distance. Reinforcements were coming. Rain looked around. No one had seen him. He looked at the child again. "I shouldn't be doing this," he whispered, "but I can't leave you here." He found a small cave nearby, hidden behind rocks. Inside, he wrapped the boy's leg with part of his own uniform. He gave the child water and covered him with his jacket. "You'll be okay," he said. "Someone will find you." The boy finally spoke. His voice was weak. "Why, help me?" Rain paused. Then he answered, "Because once, someone helped me, when I didn't deserve it." The boy looked into his eyes, deep, human eyes filled with pain, but not hate. He nodded, then closed his eyes. Rain didn't stay long. He left quietly before anyone could find them. Years later, the room was full of high-ranking officers. Earth's Defense Council had received a strange request. An alien warship had entered human space, but no weapons were active. It sent one message: "I seek the man with the eyes that saved me." The alien stepped forward now, standing tall in the middle of the room. His armor was silver, marked with honor symbols. His body was strong, but his face was calm. "I come in peace," he said. "I seek Commander Rain." The council looked at each other. Some were angry, some confused. "Why?" a general asked. The alien smiled. "Because I remember those eyes. He saved my life. When I was nothing." Behind a one-way glass window, Rain stood watching. His hair was gray now, his body tired, but his heart beat faster. He looked at the alien and saw the same eyes, just older now, stronger. The boy had grown into a warrior. Rain whispered to himself, "It's him, ... He remembered that day, the wreckage, the smoke, the decision. The alien spoke again. "If he is still alive, I owe him a life debt. I will protect him. I will protect Earth. That is my vow." Rain closed his eyes. Memories flooded in blood, fire, a boy crying. A small voice broke his silence. "Sir," said a young officer, "do you know this alien?" Rain opened his eyes. "Yes, I know him." He stepped into the room. The alien turned, and for a moment, everything went still. The alien gasped. "Wait, ... I remember those eyes. You're the one who saved my life, years ago." Rain gave a small smile. "You grew up, and you kept your soul," the alien replied. The council was speechless. What began as war had returned as something else, not as enemies, but as something far more dangerous to the old ways as brothers. The room was silent after Kelter's words. The alien general stood tall, but his voice had been filled with something rare: respect. The human council stared at him with suspicion, unsure if he was a friend or a hidden enemy. Commander Rain stepped forward, his boots echoing across the floor. Time had changed him, gray hair, tired eyes, but his presence still held weight. Kale turned to face him fully, eyes wide with emotion. You saved me once, when I had no power, no name. I am General Kelter now, leader of the Unity Fleet. But before that, I was just a scared boy. Rain nodded slowly. I remember. I almost left you there. Kale smiled. But you didn't. The lead general of Earth, General Harlow, narrowed his eyes. And now you expect us to believe you've returned to pay a life debt? That you crossed half the galaxy just to shake hands with an old soldier? Kale bowed his head. No, General. I came to protect him. And I came to protect Earth. That is my vow. Gasps filled the room. Rain's voice was calm. He speaks the truth. Harlow frowned. Even if he does, why now? The war ended long ago. Kale raised his eyes. Because the war never truly ended. There are factions rising in my world, dangerous ones. They wish to strike Earth before peace becomes permanent. I risked everything to warn you. Rain stepped beside Kale, surprising everyone. If he wanted to harm us, he wouldn't come alone and unarmed. Kale looked at Rain. The others in my species. They wouldn't understand why you saved me, but I do, and now I must return the same kindness. Later that night, Rain and Kale sat in a quiet observation room, watching stars blink through the glass. The silence between them was not uncomfortable, it was full of memories. You've changed, Rain said finally. So have you, Kale replied. I've seen 100 worlds, fought in countless battles. But none of that erased the memory of that day. Rain leaned back in his chair. You were just a child. I didn't expect to ever see you again. Kale's voice dropped. Do you know what it means in my culture? To owe a life. We call it Kate-Ara. It's more than a debt. It becomes part of who we are. Until it's repaid, our lives are not complete. Rain gave a tired smile. You don't owe me anything. But I do, Kale insisted. I trained, I fought, I became stronger not for revenge, not for glory, but to stand beside you if danger ever returned. Rain looked at him carefully. Then it has returned, hasn't it? Kale nodded. A rogue faction is moving in secret. They believe Earth is weak, that it must be crushed before it grows stronger. I have proof, and I need your help to stop them. Rain stood up. I'm retired. Kale stood too. Then I ask you as one life to another, help me stop a war before it begins. The next day, the council met again. Tension was high. Kale showed maps, intercepted signals, and a small device that projected the face of a dangerous leader, Admiral Vrax, Kale's old mentor, now turned traitor. He leads the faction. He believes humans are the biggest threat to galactic balance. General Harlow folded his arms. What does he plan to do? Kale pointed at the map. Strike Earth's outer colonies first, then use confusion to attack your core defense points. The council whispered to each other. The threat was real. Harlow turned to Rain. You've been quiet. What do you think? Rain spoke slowly. I think Kale is telling the truth. I think we either believe him now or bury our dead later. Kale turned to the council. I offer more than words. I offer myself, my fleet, my knowledge of enemy plans. Use me however you wish. You'd risk your life? Harlow asked. Kale looked at Rain. He risked his for me. Now it's my turn. That night, Rain stood alone outside the base, looking up at the stars. Footsteps came from behind. Kale, you still carry that old rifle? Kale asked, smiling. Rain looked down at the weapon in his hands. Old habits? Kale stood beside him. You once said someone helped you. Who was it? Rain looked up at the stars. My brother. Long ago, He died saving me in another war. I was just following his example when I saved you. Kale nodded. Then maybe. We're both just carrying the light forward. Rain chuckled. Maybe. The stars above them burned quietly. A war was coming, but now Earth wasn't alone. A former enemy had returned not as a destroyer, but as a shield. The stars were calm, but danger was growing in the shadows. On a quiet colony planet near the edge of human space, alarms suddenly screamed. The sky turned red as strange ships broke through the clouds. People ran. Soldiers tried to fight, but they were outnumbered. The enemy came fast, silent, deadly, without warning. It wasn't just an attack. It was a message. Back on Earth, Rain stood before a large screen, watching the destruction unfold live. Another colony hit, said General Harlow. No warning, no demands, just fire. Kale stood beside Rain. His jaw was tight. It's Vrax. He started the war. The room went quiet. Kale turned to the council. This is only the beginning. He wants fear, confusion, and then total collapse. Rain's eyes narrowed. How many more colonies will fall before we strike back? General Harlow sighed. Our fleets are stretched thin. We weren't ready for this. Kale stepped forward. I warned you. Now let me lead a counterattack. The council hesitated. Kale was still an alien, once their enemy. Trust was not easy. Rain spoke up. If we don't trust him now, we may not live to regret it. Harlow nodded slowly. Fine, you'll both lead the mission, together. Inside the command ship, Kale prepared the battle plan. Rain walked in, suited up again after years. Didn't think I'd wear this armor again, Rain said. Kale smiled. It still fits you. Rain checked the mission details. You sure about this plan? It's risky. Kale nodded. Vrax will expect hesitation. But if we strike fast, we can surprise him. Rain looked at Kale. You trained under him, didn't you? Kale's face grew dark. He was like a father to me. But power changed him. He believes only the strong deserve to rule. He thinks Earth is weak, because you showed mercy to me. Rain clenched his fists. So this is about me. Kale shook his head. It's about the idea of peace. Vrax fears it. They stared out the window at the stars. Ahead. Let's prove him wrong, Rain said. The mission began. Rain and Kale led a small but powerful strike team toward an enemy supply base hidden on a dead moon. As they landed, silence filled the air. The moon was dark and cold. Kale signaled, split up, plant charges. We destroy their supply line. Rain moved through the ruins carefully. His old soldier instincts returned like they never left. Behind a metal wall, he found something unexpected. Maps, messages, weapons all pointing to Earth. Rain spoke into his comm. Kale, I found something. This was more than a supply base. It was a staging ground. Suddenly, the ground shook. Explosions rocked the base. Rain turned, weapon ready. But it was too late. Ambushed enemy soldiers dropped from the ceiling, firing at him and his team. Rain took cover and fought back. Kale's voice came through the comm. Hold your position. I'm on my way. Rain ducked behind cover, firing his rifle. The enemy was strong faster than he remembered. Just then, Kale crashed through a wall, slicing through enemies with his blade. He pulled Rain behind a wall. Are you all right? Kale asked. Rain breathed hard, tired, but alive. They fought side by side, covering each other like they had trained for years. When the last enemy fell, the base was in ruins. Rain looked around. They were ready for us. Vrax knew we were coming. Kale picked up a strange device, a tracking beacon. We've been followed, Kale said. Vrax wanted us here, away from Earth. Rain's eyes widened. He's attacking Earth right now. Back on Earth, alarms wailed as strange ships appeared in orbit. The fleet scrambled to respond, but the enemy was already inside their defense lines. Vrax's voice echoed through every channel. Earth's protector is gone. Your shield is broken. Now you fall. Kale and Rain rushed back to their ship. Time was running out. Rain shouted, "Set course for Earth's maximum speed." As the stars blurred past the windows, Kale looked at Rain. "I failed. I should have known he would do this." Rain shook his head. "You warned us. You fought beside us. That's not failure." Kale's eyes burned with anger. "Vrax doesn't want peace. He wants destruction. He wants to make me watch Earth burn." Rain placed a hand on Kale's shoulder. "Then let's make sure he watches us fight back instead." The war had returned not on the battlefield, but in the heart of every soldier, every leader, every citizen. It was a war that never truly ended. But now, humanity wasn't fighting alone. Earth shook under the weight of the sudden attack. Explosions lit up the sky above the capital city as enemy ships broke through the defense lines. Sirens screamed. Civilians ran for cover. Earth was under siege. Inside the Earth Defense Headquarters, panic filled the command center. "Where's Commander Rain? Where's Kale?" shouted General Harlow. "They're still hours away," an officer replied. "We lost contact with their ship just after takeoff." General Harlow cursed under his breath. Earth was fighting blind and losing. Suddenly, a secure door opened. A tall man in black uniform stepped in. His name was General Roth, one of Earth's top military leaders. He had sharp eyes and a cold face. "I'll take command," Roth said calmly. Harlow hesitated. "This is my base." "Your base is failing," Roth interrupted. "You've let aliens into our command, and now we're being attacked." There was silence. Some officers nodded, unsure. Others looked uncomfortable. Harlow frowned. Kale is not the enemy. But Roth didn't listen. He walked to the control table and began typing commands. Moments later, the screen showed Earth's satellite defenses powering down. "What are you doing?" Harlow shouted. Roth smiled slightly. "Opening the gate. For Vrax." Everyone stared at him in shock. "You're working with the enemy." An officer gasped. Roth turned slowly. "Not the enemy. The future. Vrax promised me peace. After we remove the weak." One soldier tried to stop him, but Roth pulled a hidden weapon and fired. The soldier dropped. "Anyone else?" he asked coldly. No one moved. Far away, Rain and Kale flew through space. Their ship was damaged, and fire sparked from the main engine. "We won't make it in time," Kale said, checking the controls. Rain stared ahead. "We have to. Earth is alone." Suddenly, a message came through static at first, then a voice. "This is Admiral Vrax. Earth's gates are open. The war ends tonight." Kale's eyes narrowed. No. Someone betrayed Earth. From the inside. Rain's mind raced. Who would have access to the gate controls? Kale's voice turned cold. Only someone trusted. A high-ranking general. They looked at each other. Rain said, "It's him. I always suspected he hated the Alliance." Kale nodded. "Then we stop him." Back at headquarters, Roth had taken full control. Vrax's ships entered Earth's orbit freely. They began landing troops on the surface. Human soldiers were confused. Some still fought. Others were ordered to stand down. General Harlow had been locked in a cell underground. Roth watched the invasion with pride. Soon, Earth will be reborn. But deep in the building, a young officer named Lena had escaped the control room. She had heard everything. She didn't trust Roth, and now she had proof. She moved through the shadows, avoiding patrols. She reached the secret communication room and sent a message to Commander Rain. "Earth has been betrayed. General Roth works for Vrax. Come quickly." She hit send and hit again, heart pounding. Rain received the message. He stood still for a moment, then turned to Kale. "We're going in hot." Kale grinned, just like old times. They jumped into the emergency pods. The main ship couldn't make it, but the pods were fast and small. Like missiles, they shot toward Earth. Inside the command center, alarms blared again. 2 unidentified. Pods incoming, said a tech officer. Roth turned. Shoot them down. But it was too late. The pods crashed through the roof, and smoke filled the room. Rain and Kale stepped out, weapons ready. Roth's face twisted in rage. You're too late. Rain raised his weapon. Not for you. A firefight broke out. Sparks flew. Bullets screamed. Rain took cover behind a desk. Kale moved like a shadow, his alien blade slicing through enemy guards. One by one, Roth's loyal soldiers fell. Rain charged forward and tackled Roth. They fought hand to hand, fists slamming, armor cracking. You betrayed your people, Rain shouted. I saved them, Roth growled. From your weak alliances. Rain punched him hard, knocking him down. Kale stood beside him. It's over. Roth laughed, blood on his lips. Vrax will still win. Kale stepped forward. No, because we're still standing. Rain tied Roth's hands and called the guards. Take him away. Later, Rain and Kale stood with Lena in the control room. You risked everything too. Send that message, Rain said. Lena nodded. I believed in you, sir. In both of you. Kale smiled. Then maybe hope still lives here. They looked at the screen. Earth was damaged, but still fighting. Vrax's troops were strong, but now Earth was united again. Rain picked up his rifle. Let's finish what we started. Kale's eyes glowed. Together. Smoke filled the sky. Earth was still under attack, but now it had a chance. Rain and Kale stood at the top of the command tower, looking down at the ruined city below. Fires burned in the distance. Ships screamed overhead. The people were still fighting. Rain tightened his gloves. We need to end this soon. We can't let Vrax win. Kale nodded. His body was bruised, and a long cut ran down his shoulder. But his spirit was strong. Vrax is planning something bigger, Kale said. He's not just trying to conquer Earth. He wants to destroy the idea of peace. Rain looked at Kale. Then we stop him now, not later. Kale paused. Before we go, I want to tell you something. Rain turned to him. Kale's voice was quiet. When I was a boy, trapped under metal and bleeding, I saw many eyes that day. But yours were different. You didn't see an enemy. You saw someone who needed help. Rain didn't say anything. His expression was calm, but his eyes softened. Kale continued, You saved my life. But more than that, you changed me. You showed me that mercy is not weakness. Rain placed a hand on Kale's shoulder. And you've proved that loyalty is not limited by species. Together, they left the tower and headed to the underground base, where a secret resistance had formed. Lena was already there, leading a group of human and alien fighters people who still believed in unity. She smiled when she saw them. We're ready. Rain looked at the map on the wall. Vrax's main ship is above Earth's southern orbit. He controls the battlefield from there. Kale pointed to a weak spot on the map. If we can disable his command core, his fleet will fall into chaos, Lena asked. But how do we get close? He'll see us coming. Rain looked at Kale. We let him see us. He wants us. He fears what we represent. Kale smiled. So we give him what he fears the most, us, together. A small strike ship launched from the underground hangar. Rain and Kale sat inside, wearing full armor. The ship had only one goal, reach Vrax's command ship and end the war. As they rose through the clouds, enemy fire rained down, but they moved fast. Inside the ship, Kale gripped his sword tightly. His hands were shaking. Rain noticed. You, all right? Kale nodded slowly. He was once like a father to me. I never imagined I'd face him like this. Rain said quietly. Sometimes the hardest fight is with someone you once trusted. They broke through enemy lines and crashed into the side of Vrax's ship. Alarms screamed. Enemy guards rushed in, but Rain and Kale moved like a storm. Bullets flew, blades flashed. Every step took them closer to the command center. Kale led the way, heart pounding. He kicked down the final door. There stood Admiral Vraxstall, armored and smiling coldly. "Well," Vrax said, "the traitor returns." And with his pet human, Kale stepped forward. "This human saved me. He showed me strength without cruelty. Something you never understood." Vrax raised his weapon, then died beside him. A fierce battle began. Rain fought Vrax's guards, while Kale faced Vrax himself. The ship shook from explosions. Sparks lit up the dark room. Vrax swung with heavy blows, but Kale blocked each one. Their blades clashed, metal screaming against metal. "You were my student," Vrax growled. "You could have ruled with me." Kale shouted, "I'd rather die than follow a monster." Vrax struck hard, and Kale fell to the floor, bleeding. Vrax raised his weapon to finish him, but Rain fired his last shot, knocking Vrax back. Kale stood slowly, wounded but not broken. He looked into Vrax's eyes. "Goodbye, teacher." With one final strike, Kale drove his blade into Vrax's chest. Vrax gasped and fell. The ship began to collapse. Rain grabbed Kale. "We need to get out now." They ran back to the ship, carrying Vrax's battle codes. As they flew away, Kale collapsed in the seat beside Rain, blood soaked through his armor. Rain shouted, "Stay with me. You did it. You stopped him." Kale smiled weakly. "I repaid my debt, didn't I?" Rain grabbed his hand. "You did more than that. You became the kind of hero people will remember." Kale closed his eyes. "I saw the enemy once," he whispered, "but in the end, I became more human than most." And with that, his hand went still. The sky cleared as Earth's defense systems came back online. Enemy ships retreated. The war was over. Back on Earth, a statue was built, two figures standing side by side, one human, one alien. Under it were carved the words, "He came as a stranger, but died as a hero." 2 weeks had passed since the fall of Admiral Vrax. Earth was healing. Cities were rebuilding. People were beginning to hope again. But the war wasn't over. From deep space came a new threat. Vrax's backup fleet, hidden beyond Saturn. Thousands of ships, larger and stronger than before. Without Vrax, they followed a new command system. Cold, emotionless, fully automated. No talks, no surrender. Just destruction. Their first target, Titan Gate, Earth's largest space defense station, orbiting Saturn's moon. Titan. If Titan Gate fell, Earth would have no early warning system left. The enemy could attack directly and no one would see them coming. In Earth's main war room, alarms were flashing. Enemy fleet approaching Titan Gate. A young officer shouted, 10 minutes to contact." General Harlow stood at the center table. "We don't have enough forces near Titan. Our main fleets are still recovering." Lena stepped forward. "We have one last chance, Rain." Everyone looked at her. Rain had been silent since Kale's death. He spent his days staring at the stars. Some said he was broken. Others said he was waiting now. He stood slowly and said, "Prepare the last fleet. I'll lead it." Harlow frowned. "You've already given enough." Rain looked up. "Not yet. Kale gave his life for Earth. I won't let that be wasted." Hours later, the final fleet, only 300 ships to launch, against the enemy's 1,000. The mission looked like suicide. Titan Gate sent a final message. "We can hold for 15 minutes. No more." Rain stood on the bridge of his ship, wearing Kale's battle symbol on his arm. Lena stood beside him, commanding communications. She asked, "What if we don't make it?" Rain replied, "Then we make them remember our fight." The human fleet jumped through space, reaching Titan's orbit just as the enemy began their assault. The battle was brutal. Enemy ships swarmed like insects, firing energy blasts that lit up the darkness. Titan Gate's shields were cracking. Rain gave the command, All ships form the wall. Protect the gate. Human ships moved into a tight line, blocking the enemy's path. Explosions shook the sky. One ship after another fell, but they held the line. Rain's ship took several hits. Sparks flew. Smoke filled the air. Lena coughed, shouting, "We've lost engines." Rain stood firm. "Then we fight from here." Suddenly, a hidden signal appeared on the screen. Kale's fleet. Before his death, Kale had sent secret orders to a group of alien allies. They arrived now, answering his final call. Alien ships joined the fight, catching the enemy by surprise. Rain smiled. "Even in death, he protects us." The battle turned. The enemy fleet, though large, couldn't adapt. They were machines, not thinkers. Rain used their patterns against them, tricking them into traps, leading them into asteroid fields, forcing them into tight spaces where they couldn't turn. Ship by ship. The enemy fell, but victory had a price. Rain's ship was badly damaged. Fires burned across the deck. The crew evacuated. Rain stayed behind. Lena screamed, "You have to come with us." He shook his head. "If I leave now, the final strike won't hit the core. Someone has to guide it manually." She cried, "You'll die." Rain smiled gently. "I've made peace with that." He looked at the screen one last time. The enemy's control ship was in range. Rain activated the final weapon, a massive energy beam powered by the ship's core. As he fired, enemy blasts tore through his hull. Everything turned white. From Titan Gate, Lena watched as Rain's ship exploded, taking the enemy's main control ship with it. The rest of the enemy fleet, now leaderless, shut down and drifted into space. Titan Gate was saved. Earth was safe again. A few days later, a funeral was held on Earth. People from every nation and even alien worlds stood in silence. Two statues were placed side by side, one of Kelter, the alien warrior who gave his life for peace, one of Commander Rain, the human who never gave up. On the base of the statues, the words read, "Two warriors, one bond, one final stand." Lena placed a single flower at the foot of the statues. "They thought we were weak," she whispered, "but we were never alone." The stars above blinked softly, as if saluting the two heroes who had saved them all. The war was over. The enemy fleets had been destroyed. Earth was safe. But the silence after the battle felt heavy. People returned to their homes, but the sky still reminded them of those who didn't. The stars above were no longer just lights, they were graves. Graves of heroes, of memories, and of a fight that changed the galaxy forever. In the center of Earth's capital, a new park had been built. In that park stood two tall statues, one of Commander Rain, the other of Kelter. Humans and aliens alike came every day to look at them. Some came with flowers, others came with tears, but one visitor came just to sit. He was young, not more than 17. His skin was deep blue. His eyes glowed faintly, just like Kale's once did. His name was Torek, and he had traveled across the stars to reach this place. Torek sat quietly on the bench, staring at Kale's statue. His hand clutched a small data chip. It was Kale's final message, passed down through secret channels. It was never made public. It was personal, meant only for someone who would carry on his legacy. Torek listened to it again. "If you're hearing this, it means I'm gone. And if you're the one listening, then maybe you have what I did. The will to choose peace, even in war. I once hated humans, then one saved me. I once feared weakness. Then I learned that kindness is the greatest strength of all." Torek closed his eyes. His chest ached not from pain, but from something deeper. Pride, sadness, purpose. Meanwhile, Lena stood at the Earth Defense Command. She had been promoted to commander after Rain's death. She didn't want the title. She didn't feel ready. But Rain had trusted her, and that trust gave her strength. She gave a speech that was broadcast across the galaxy. Peace isn't built in a day. It's built with every hand that reaches out, even when afraid. Rain and Kale reached out to each other when the world told them not to. They didn't just end a war. They started something bigger. Applause echoed through the hall, but Lena's eyes were on a single seat, empty. The seat where Rain used to sit. She smiled softly. "Wherever you are, Commander," she whispered. "We're doing it. Just like you wanted. Far from Earth, on a green planet with 2 suns. A school had been built. Its name, the Unity Academy. Human children sat beside alien ones. They learned together, played together, laughed together. In one of the classrooms, a young alien girl raised her hand. "Teacher," she asked, "is it true that humans used to fight everyone?" The teacher smiled. "Yes, but they also chose to protect everyone, and that changed history." The children looked at a large painting on the wall. It showed Rain lifting Kale out of the wreckage all those years ago. One boy stared at the painting. For a long time, his friend leaned over. "What are you thinking?" The boy replied. "I want to be like him someday." "Like who?" The boy smiled. "Both of them." Back on Earth, Torek finally stood from the bench. He looked one last time at the statues. "I never met you, Kale," he said softly, "but I promise I'll carry your story." Just as he turned to leave, a little girl walked by with her father. She pointed at the statue of Rain. "Daddy, who is that?" Her father smiled. "That's the man who saved the galaxy." She looked up with wide eyes. "He looks ... kind." "He was," her father replied. "Very kind, and very brave." The girl then looked at Kale's statue, and him. The father paused. "He was once the enemy, but he became our greatest friend." The girl thought for a moment. "So they were both heroes?" The father nodded. "Yes, and they proved that anyone can change the world if they choose to do the right thing." The wind moved gently through the trees around the park. Leaves danced in the air. The sun broke through the clouds. It was peaceful. No sirens, no explosions, no war, only quiet, only memory. Many years later, on the anniversary of the Great Battle, the galaxies celebrated what they now called Unity Day. Ships from 100 different worlds gathered in Earth's orbit. People lit candles. Stories were told. Children acted out the tale of Rain and Kale on school stages, and above it all, the words carved into the stone of the memorial stood strong. They were from different worlds, but their hearts beat as one. A life remembered, a war forgotten. Hi, this story is made by a human just for fun. It's not real. All the characters and events are made up. Thanks for watching.